Like Scoob, I'm the man behind the slaughter, man. Had to get that joke out of the way. I also am doing a Halloween thing one day late, but I'm Shaggy, man. Red shirt Shaggy back, but not really. I'm just wearing a red shirt. But that's what you're going to get for Halloween. So the joke out of the way, first of all, if anyone says that William / Steve Raglan and, the actor that is Matthew Lillard sounds like Shaggy too much, he has 3 lines that makes him sound like Stu or Shaggy, and that's it. He's his own character except for those 3 lines. Anyways, so with that joke and meme aside, I'm getting a little sick, so I might have some bad vocals going on, so I'm sorry. So anyways, I'm going to be having chapters. I think we're going to go over the summary, my thoughts, the Easter eggs and references, and then I'll end with a theory. So there's 4 parts. First of all, let's get, of course, my ratings before we get into summary. So it'll be a 3.5 star / 7 or 8 on a scale and star. But it was pretty good. I don't know why a lot of people are hating on it, which I will go over with my thoughts. So anyways, let's go into the summary. So 3, 2, 1. Mike Schmidt is a late 20s to early 30s security worker whose background is filled with tragedy. When he was young, the theory everyone's having is about 10 or 12. Him and his parents and younger brother Garrett go on a family camping trip to Nebraska. While his parents are doing some of the camping task, they put Mike in charge of watching Garrett as they play. A frisbee distracts Michael. When distracted, that gives someone enough time to take his brother, kidnap him by car. Present day, Mike is now a working man with him as a guardian of his little sister Abby. His mom has died, and not long after that, either his dad has disappeared or he has made himself a separate escape route to life. He works as a mall cop, until his trauma reflexes come into play. He ends up trying to beat down someone who thinks he's trying to kidnap a kid, but ends up being just a worried parent who gets a little too aggressive when finding his lost kid. Which, as an outsider, it might look bad, but, I think Mike didn't really do good about it. But, like I said, it's a traumatic reflex. So, he sees kidnapping, he kind of goes back to what he would have done if he was his age, finding the person who did what took Garrett from him. Mike goes into a career counselor, Steve Raglan, for a new job with limited options due to his infamous work history. Basically, he's been fired on several occasions within a week, within a day. He's very bad about stuff. And it's mostly based on this trauma and him trying to deal with it that doesn't go well. But with his responsibility to his sister, he declines the job that he's about to do because Steve mentions a low-paying security job for a night shift. He puts it down because he's got responsibilities to his sister. This is a night shift. He can't be there with his sister if she's at school in the mornings, and at night he's somewhere else. So the weekends and the mornings is basically the only time he'll ever see his sister. I mean, if we're going based on how Five Nights at Freddy's normally is, he should have time to put her down to bed, have a babysitter take over, and then him go to the job. But that's the problem, is that there's not a lot of people for him to count on now that he has no parents. And we'll go over Right now, the only other person you could technically count on, but he can't because of what's happening, and I'm going to speed through this part. His aunt. We don't know which one of the parents this is related to, but she is constantly trying to gain guardianship of Abby. A line that Mike says that he thinks that she's coming for the government paycheck for Abby. Like, hey, you're not their parent, so here's a paycheck to hopefully make it easier for you to be the guardian of this kid. And the aunt is so hell-bent on getting this kid that she even takes drastic measures, like trying to hire a babysitter that we don't know the full relationship of who is with what. Her name's Max. She looks like she's a friend of Mike's, but she looks like she's just someone that is known around the neighborhood to be a babysitter or someone who just does basic tasks. So the aunt hires Max to go in and try to find any little details that can help her in court to get guardianship of Abby, but she hasn't done anything else than say that Mike is tired, he's stressed. Abby might have a little, like, it's talked that she may have autism in the movie, but that is no reason to gain guardianship. You know, a man who's barely getting on his feet and is constantly getting trauma ruin his life, and is the only other person that the girl knows. And the girl, you can't say her mentality or physical state is the reason why the guardianship. He's doing as best as he can. She hasn't been harmed. She's in school. She's doing what she's supposed to. So him as guardian is doing all he's supposed to. It's just his image is the only thing that's getting in the shade due to him, you know, beating that guy, the father, and all that. Anyways, without any other options, when our main story where Mike starts the new job at Freddy's, she pays Max, her brother, and their two friends, Hank and Carl, $1,000, so $250 each, to go and try to get Mike fired from his job by breaking and entering, property damage, and theft. I'm in the wrong spot for this. Sorry. Okay. So breaking, entering, damage of property, and theft. And spoilers, they all die because of the bots. And with the aunt later on babysitting Abby, she dies too because, you know, we can't explain what's happening with the aunt. We just gotta kill her off. So 1 second. Like I said, I'm sick, so dealing with the sniffles. Okay. And I'm also trying to hurry this up because I have to go do laundry, clean out my guinea pig's cage, and I have to make myself some dinner. Alright, so with the ant on his back about Abby, he wavers until the teacher of Abby explains that Mike is the most important person to her through her drawings. The teacher explains that most kids will interpret their worldviews through drawing. So the fact that Mike is in the center and in a part of most drawings is that she has a huge connection to Mike, which is true. It's one of the only family members they have left, and she's basically only been a few years before. She was only a toddler, probably by the parents dying or, you know, being their own way. And now that he understands that his sister cares for him, he has a fire in his heart to do his best and push for what he can. So now that he has this job from Steve in his head, he goes and applies to it. Steve explains that it's basically Five Nights at Freddy's 1. You know, be a security guard, clean up, do what you're supposed to. Night 1, basically nothing happens. We go over a few things later on, but night 1, literally nothing happens. It just it sets up the environment of the movie. Night 2, Um, During what we get occasionally is the dream sequences, and through that dream sequence we get Foxy come in and cut Mike up his arm. And we have Vanessa, the officer Vanessa, not the security officer Vanessa from the games. This is a separate Vanessa in this universe who basically this is her section of the city to check for stuff. And basically Freddy's is the one thing that she noticed has a lot of traffic. And he explains, like, there's a lot of people who come in here a lot because it is a franchised building that has fallen. She explains that the reason why it was shut down is because there was 5 kids that went missing. And she also tells her, like, hey, most people don't stay in this job. But she gives him pointers to kind of keep in the job. All right, now that that's done, I can go on to. That was it for night 2. So night 3, well, actually day 3, Mike. Okay. So Mike is told by Vanessa that there was a break-in at Freddy's, and she blames him by showing him his medicine bottle for him, and he goes over explaining what his background story, like his brother getting kidnapped, and what he's trying to do, which we get into dream theory. The scientific explanation for dream theory is that you, as a person, your brain remembers everything you'll ever do in definition and detail in 4K. I caught you in 4K. But basically you can't remember it on a normal basis because you're more on the main subject of your life, where you might remember something if it's connected to what you're in. But since the kidnapping was so far back in his life at this point, he goes to sleep and tries to dream, and hopefully that he can remember everything, because he wants to figure out who kidnapped his brother and try to remember any little details that might put that guy in bars or figure out what he's going to do about it. And he uses the medicine to go to sleep better. And this also explains why there's the Nebraska poster. That's the placement of the campsite they were at, and he plays nature music to kind of put him in the environment of woods. So he uses it to make an environment, and he uses the medicine to kind of stay asleep and stay hard asleep. That way, if he's finding details, he doesn't just wake up as soon as he starts noticing details. So his entire thing is he'll remember where he was in the dream and kind of like fast forward it, kind of not care about the details that he already knows, and tries to laser focus on the kidnapping part. And tries to figure out if, like, he can find a license plate or see a face or find anyone who's suspicious in that area. And then we go into night 3. He cleans the mess from the break-in. He brings Abby with him because there was no Max at this point, because Max was a part of the break-in and she died. So now he is told by one of the... without Max babysitting Abby, he brings her, tells her to go to sleep in the office. He goes and cleans up the mess, comes back in and starts, I think it was like at 4 a.m., he puts his headphones on to try to fall asleep and get some details. At some point here, I don't know if it's night 2 or night 3 that he catches up to one of the spirits. When he starts his time at Freddy's, his dreams include these 5 kids that went missing. Now that Vanessa told him about it, these are the spirits. So night 3, he has, I know you're the spirits of the kids. I need details. You apparently have some kind of connection to my brother's kidnapping, so I need to figure out what you guys know. And if I remember correctly, I think it's night 3 where I think he catches up to the Bonnie kid or the Freddy kid. And when he gets turned around, we get a jump scare, and I will mention what that is referring to in a later section. Anyways, when he's asleep, one of the spirits, the yellow-haired one, reveals to him that they do know, in fact, who did it, but they can't give him a name, but they also require something of him to get the full details. And when he's about to completely understand everything, Abby screams, and this gets his attention to wake up, and he finds the animatronics standing around him. But before he wakes up, he sees a rabbit silhouette in the sand by where the yellow kid was. So he wakes up, goes finds Abby, figures out that the kids are mostly in control of their actions. Like Freddy at first is is about to throw down with Mike, but once Abby steps in, he's like, okay, I gotta be nice, because this is someone close to Abby. And basically, there's a connection starting between Abby and the animatronics. Going on to day and night 4, we have Abby reveals that she's been talking to Supernatural. So in the beginning of the movie, Mike tries to talk to her about eating dinner, and he sits on the bed, and she says, "You're sitting on my friend," and he thinks it's an imaginary friend. Well, now that she's talking to spirits, this may have been a supernatural occurrence where she's been talking to these kids for a while, because the spirits don't just... Sometimes they stay in one place, but sometimes they can maneuver around and try to get people's attention. So they were probably talking to Abby before they even had interaction with Freddy's. So I think Abby knew about Freddy's at this point, and the kids were just saying, come here, come here. And when she finds out that Mike is there, she wants to go. So that's why she's already having a great connection with the animatronics. So anyways, let's see. So they talk about the spirits, and Mike makes up a plan for that night where it's like, hey, you're friends with them, they trust you, please try to get more information about Garrett, the kidnapping, and other stuff that happened to them. And when they go in, Vanessa's already there, and she's like, oh yeah, I knew about the possession of these animatronics way before you, and, instead of being a nice citizen, be like, yeah, this is what's going to happen while you're staying here, so don't go completely crazy, it's just a thing that exists. And basically, the entire situation is Abby and the animatronics want to make a fort of, like, pillows and stuff, and they just use tables and chairs. And some funny stuff happens between the animatronics. Bonnie falls over and uses them and stuff. But Vanessa and Mike are the biggest part of this night, where Vanessa pulls Mike aside to say, hey, she shouldn't be here, and you need to stop digging up stuff. Because when people dig stuff up, stuff happens. And when there's kids around, there's a very bad ending to that. She basically gives hints, but doesn't give a full answer. Mike keeps saying, you know a lot of stuff. How do you know where stuff is here? How do you know about the possession? How do you know that there's 5 kids? How do you know that it's the 5 kids possessing the animatronics? How do you know all this stuff? And she, at the very end, explains to Mike, I think it's this night where... No, it's night 5, never mind. So anyway, basically she says, keep Abby out of there, keep your nose out of the Freddy's business, and we'll be fine. And she even threatens to shoot Mike if she sees Abby back at the store. So in day 5, Mike needs to figure out the rest of this thing. Now that he has no Vanessa willing to answer any questions, he can't really be keeping Abby with him now that she's threatening to do something about it. So he finds out a situation where it's just like, hey, Aunt, I don't care for you. Me and you can talk about stuff, but I do really need a babysitter right now. So that's when she becomes the babysitter, and then later that night she dies. Anyways, Mike goes in the day to Freddy's to get as much information as possible. And anyways, he starts the dream, and he's immediately taken back by the 5 kids, and they're like, we have a deal. they're not even willing to tell him who it is at this point. They're just like, we will let you stay in a dream state with your family. Like, instead of having a constant dream of his brother getting kidnapped, they are willing to relieve his mind a little bit. I will give you a dream state where your parents are still alive, your brother's still with you, and you guys can just have a nice family camping site without anything bad happening. And basically, it's just giving him an out for his mind. You know, your mind will be at peace if you do one thing for us: give us Abby. And it doesn't mention what they're willing to do with her. They just want her because they have a connection with her. And at first, you know, Mike is so stuck on the past that, you know, he wants his parents back and he's wanting his brother. He's been stuck on this for years, ever since it happened. And now that he has the opportunity to let his mind at rest and at least have some semblance of what he wanted in life, he's agreeing to letting Abby. But once he figures out that he has a relationship with Abby that's growing little by little, once they connect more and more, he folds back, but it's too late because he already gave an answer, and he's quickly trying to go and deal with it, but the spirits aren't having it. They start injuring him. They grab him, put him in a what is known as the torture Freddy pose, where basically a Freddy mask has blades and is about to like tear up his face, and like basically they're stuffing him in a Freddy Fazbear suit from Five Nights at Freddy's 1. But due to a previous night guard who, in the very beginning of the movie, he is trying to escape, and he's able to barricade the door. He's able to escape through the vents, and he's about to get out. But once he tries to get out, it's locked, and Foxy finds him and runs down the hallway and gets him, and they put him and they stuff the previous night guard, and before he dies, he's able to loosen up the bolt a little bit, which he isn't able to completely loosen it before he dies. But thanks to that pre-loosened bolt, Mike is able to scroll it off completely and get out himself, and he makes a book for the exit. And luckily, before they can get Foxy can get him, Vanessa finds him, brings him back to a officer outpost that has medical, and she fixes him up, tries to wrap everything up, and says, "Hey, here's let's see here. I think next part. All right, so we're in the finale. Okay, let's see. She explains that electricity, like electrical-based defense weapons, like tasers, will affect the animatronics because they're electrical-based hardware. Even though that there's possessions, most of the functions are by electric. So if you can malfunction the electricity, you can deal with them. And she also explains that Abby is going to be stuffed into a suit and become one of the animatronics. That way they are their friend forever. And then I'll be right back. I need to get something to drink because this is a very massive stress on the throat for this next part. Okay, now that I have the drink and my nose is kind of cleared a little bit, let's get into this. So the last thing that she puts to Mike is the biggest lore drop ever. That the killer is her father. His name is William Afton. He's the Yellow Rabbit, and he is Garrett's killer, and that she knew all along. And the only reason that he finds out that it's Garrett's killer is because she shows a picture of Spring Bonnie in his prime with a little kid, Vanessa, holding the toy plane that his brother had. So Holy crap, Vanessa's the daughter of William Afton, and she's been helping, deal with the security guards and hiding under, the fact that there's kids that were murdered. And she also reveals that she knows that where the kids' bodies went, they got stuffed inside the suits. And then we have Golden Freddy. Guess what? He's a part of this. He's the fifth kid, the blonde kid who's been telling everyone the little details, which I think he knew more than he let on. We'll go on when that comes to the theory part. But the fifth child, who has been giving Mike and Abby details, brings Abby to Freddy's. He kills the aunt at this point, with Chica taking her to a spring lock suit. So basically, hey, here's Freddy's. All right, go in and talk to your friends for a little bit. And then as soon as she gets comfortable, Chica takes her and goes to the back room with her and starts pushing her into a spring lock suit to try to get her. Mike is able to get back thanks to Vanessa giving the police cruiser, and is able to come in, spill some water, shock the two animatronics, Freddy and Bonnie, goes in, tased guns Chica, and then both Abby and Mike try to get back into the main area, try to get out, but the cupcake is still existent and is able to grab onto Mike, and Mike is able to zap it with a electrical taser, like a taser staff. And Abby ends up trying to run away, and she gets like cornered by Foxy. They go to the arcade space. She goes into the ball pit. Foxy's about to find her when Vanessa is able to completely knock out Foxy and is able to save Abby. Both the Mike, now that he's done with the cupcake, and Vanessa and Abby, they start heading for the door with William Afton in his spring body suit that's slightly been withered, is appearing and is like, all right, kids, playtime's over. And basically he starts threatening Mike, throwing him like a rag doll across the place, and is like, all you had to do was keep your nose out of other people's business. And he, straight up with an ego, says, I am the one, it is funny that I'm the one who killed all those kids and your brother, and I'm about to kill you. It's quite poetic. And it's like, here's the William Afton everyone's wanting. I will explain that more in another part, but like, everyone doesn't like the fact that he's not showing William Afton. The fact that he's being egotistical about killing kids, especially killing both the brother and now another brother. It's ridiculous. And then, like, once he's about to finish up the job with Mike, like, he starts he reawakens the animatronics from their state and says, come on, we got a body to put Barry. And before he can do anything, Vanessa pulls a gun on him, and then they're like, you're my daughter. Even though, we may not be to get like a strong bond, but you will not do anything because of your emotional attachment. And guess what? Nope. Baby girl isn't wanting to be baby girl no more. And that doesn't really stop William. He just ends up getting close to her, knocking the gun, and stabbing her. So, let's see here. And, and then the fact that that is the William Afton we know. It's just like, you may be my kid, but you're not stopping my own goals. Just stabs her without any mercy. And then, let's see here. We have that, like, collage of, like, drawings. Like, I think Five Nights at Freddy's 2 had the most drawings. And it shows, like, a BB Easter egg, but it has Spring Bonnie with the 5 kids in the middle of it. And that apparently is lore to the 5 kids possessing the animatronic, that Spring Bonnie is their friend, because that picture is one of the only memories of themselves that they have now. They can't remember how they got murdered, why they're the way they are, but the fact that they can be together forever, and the Spring Bonnie character is, the one that the last thing that they knew, basically. And basically that's the only reason how William's able to control and kind of motion them. But I think Abby or Mike figure out that. I think Mike is able to get waken up by Abby, and he's basically like, I see that drawing, because he recalls what the teacher said about the drawings being part of the child's mindset, and says that drawing right there is psyching out the animatronics. That needs torn down, and then you can do something about it. So Abby's able to take a piece of paper off one of the arcade machines, make a drawing real quick, and then replace the drawing of the Spring Bonnie and 5 kids with Spring Bonnie and the 5 kids in the 5 missing persons accident. And this changes the Spring animatronics mood, because now Abby, who they trust, is showing them the truth. And now that another kid cannot tell a lie, is showing them the truth, they turn on William, and they push him into a corner. And before he can do anything about it, Cupcake takes a bite out of the suit. And because it has, I think it's the jerkiness of what the Cupcake did, it triggers a spring lock failure. And this ends up killing William slowly. Like, he's bleeding out now that he's also got where the ribs are, that's probably where his lungs are getting affected by the spring lock failure. So he's barely able to breathe, and he's bleeding out. So he's going to die. Okay, so let's see here. And then Mike and Abby are able to take Vanessa and get out as the building is is collapsing. And I'll mention this again in my going over review, but this right here is probably the spirits of the animatronics, like, their peace of mind is starting, like, this is why we're here. So, like, the fact that what they were supposed to do is done, and the actions have been done, the spirits are able to relieve the building, which means the building no longer has, like, a spiritual pressure that holds it up, so it collapses on itself. We see this in several movies and films, in series and stuff. Vanessa is able to be put in the hospital. She's kind of in a coma, or like she's such a bad shape from being stabbed that she's there. Abby is able to open up and do better in school due to, now she's got no more supernatural friends talking to her, and then Mike is now able to actually center on her now that there is no custody battle with the aunt, and there's no mystery of what happened with his brother. Both his peace of mind is able to help himself, and then help develop a relationship with Abby, and this kind of makes him and his sister kind of make their own little household of family. Alright, so getting into it, we go over the little bit of intro and credits. In the intro, aside from the security guard dying, there was a missing kids with the 8-bit form. This shows the incident of 5 kids missing, where William, as the purple guy, puts on the Spring Bonnie suit and then slowly lures one by one the 5 kids away. And then there's 2 mid-credit scenes. One where Golden Freddy's spirit comes in, seeing William still trembling like the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 trailer in the back room, da-da-da-da-da-da. And then he's trying to get their attention to help him, but they just close him back in for the next 30 years, maybe. We might have a 50-year-old Mike by the time Five Nights at Freddy's 3 comes out. But anyways, the second part is just BB scaring the crap out of Corey Kenshin. And then the secret message at the very end. Like, the credits roll, and then all of a sudden, COMEFINDME. Come find me. So, basically, to end this video, because I need to go get another part, you guys will have 2 parts for today. You guys will actually have 2 videos in one day. basically, Come Find Me, the BB teaser, BB jump scare, and the Golden Freddy scene Springtrap all relieve to Five Nights at Freddy's 2 and 3. I believe that we're going to have more William Afton in the second one. We will not have Springtrap. I don't think we're not going to see Springtrap in the next movie, I don't think, unless we're doing a Five Nights at Freddy's 2 and 3 movie where it covers both those stories, where, you know, we get to see a little bit back in time with the toys, and then we get to see a present day with William, which is completely understandable because we are going back between dream sequence and what's happening. So, BB teases the toys. Come Find Me means that there's someone or something trying to get the attention of most likely Mike and Abby, or someone we don't know yet. And then, Golden Freddy's still around, so that means one of the spirits, maybe even all the spirits, aren't completely put to rest. So we might have the bad ending of Five Nights at Freddy's 3 as a thing. But Springtrap is, teased to come back as the actual Springtrap. So basically, we're teasing for the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 toy animatronics and the Springtrap of Five Nights at Freddy's 3. This might happen in the next one, where basically we have Mike and Abby return to Freddy's now that it's been probably restructured as Fazbear Frights, and we'll have, the Phantom animatronics and Springtrap, and we might have them slowly get taught about what happened in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. And I do have a theory about that, and I'm going to be happy to explain it. But anyways, I think I've gone long enough. We're almost at 40 minutes over a freaking summary. So anyways, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.